Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Desmond. Look at her. This does not mean you getting in the way of the camera. It's like she knows. But anyway, this is Desmond with another video again, and we're going to be talking just a little bit about Christians and the Democratic Party. And the reason I want to go ahead and talk about this was actually prompted by something I was watching on Facebook. It's a pastor. His name is Daryl, and a black pastor. He was talking about the evils of Donald Trump and Project 2025 and all of that. Now, obviously, guys, I don't take that stance saying you can't be a Christian and Democrat at the same time. Now, in fairness to him, he did say that both parties are evil, but he seems to believe that you have to make a choice. Give me one moment here. I'm just about to make a quick tag really quick. And let me see here. There we go. All right, just had to put a little tag in it again. This is impromptu. Just want to make something really quick. Let me see. We got a chat here. Oh, never mind. All right, so yeah, I wanted to go ahead and make this video because I think this is important. How can a Christian choose to be part of the Democratic Party, right? I'm gonna be transparent with you guys. I've never been a Democrat ever in my life. Originally, I was a voting Republican. Now I'm independent, conservative, obviously, and I'm going third party this year. I went third party for the past 2 or 3 election cycles, I think it was. And whether you are going to vote for Trump, whether you're going to vote third party, or whether you choose not to vote at all because you feel both candidates are just not solid and you haven't done enough research into third party, I think that is perfectly fine. You don't have to vote, especially if it goes against your conscience. You're supposed to vote in accordance to your principles and don't let it violate your conscience. I don't care what anyone tells you. If someone tells you to vote for this person and it violates your conscience, don't do it. Don't feel pressured to do something you don't want to do. But the problem is Christians who vote Democrat, right? I'm not going to be like a Charlie Kirk and tell you that, oh, these aren't Christians, whatnot. We don't know the state of the lives of people who go that way. I've known solid Christians that believe the gospel, believe in Jesus Christ, all the core doctrines. They live in accordance to how God teaches, but yet they vote Democrat. Can we be wrong in our choices and our reasonings? Of course we can. And I don't think there is any reason one should condemn a person or question their faith just because they're a Democrat. A lot of times when it comes to people who vote in these particular parties, they do it based on a particular ideology. In other words, a lot of Christians who vote Democrat, they aren't voting for homosexuality. They're not voting for abortion. They're not voting for critical race theory necessarily. They're not voting for fourth wave feminism, even though all these things are a part of the Democratic Party and it's like what they run on. So it's like their Trump card. But a lot of people, they bought into Democratic Kool-Aid, saying that, hey, the other side is racist, so stick with us. They've bought into the idea that there's no room for them on the other side, even though they hold conservative values. They feel as if they can't vote for a Republican. They can't vote for someone who is maybe supportive of Trump, right? And again, I don't believe you should vote for Trump. 24, I'm being just transparent. I don't believe you should, but I'm not going to be out here and be like, oh, you're not a Christian for doing so. Because there are points that this is an adulterous man. This is a guy who don't respect Christianity. There's a guy who disrespects the Bible, etc. I can go down the line. I've made videos about Trump that he refused to repent. He says, I don't need to repent. He said this back in 2016 in a talk. It was with Focus on the Family. He was talking to, I forgot what the host's name was, but he told him, like, I don't need to repent. He said that also in CNN. So I'm not going to defend Trump whatsoever. And again, according to my principles, I can't vote for a man like that. However, on the other side, there is no way you can vote for a woman who says a woman should have full bodily autonomy over her body And what they mean by that is that they have complete say over the life or death of a child that is in the womb. They can go ahead and destroy that baby that's within the womb. We need to talk about that. But before I get into all that, I just want to run down this real quick. We can't. How can you vote for a woman who is for homosexuality, who thinks gay marriages are blessed by God? How can you vote for a woman who thinks that men are the problem? How can you vote for a woman who disregards our border, who thinks anyone should be able to get in however willy-nilly they want to get in, right? We've had people who got killed by illegal immigrants, et cetera, et cetera. These are issues that should concern the American church. Why? Because if we are saying that, hey, we're about Christ, then that means we're also about law and order. We're about the best welfare for our communities. We are thinking about our people, right? It's God, and then of course the people. We love our neighbor, and we love God first, and then we love our neighbor. That's how things should be. However, a lot of times, instead of our faith dictating how our politics should be, we allow our politics to dictate our faith. And that is a huge problem. We should all look inwardly about that. Focusing on the Democratic Party. I was in the comment section of Daryl Miller, and he was talking about Project 2025 and all that sort of stuff. And he started talking about, I brought up, like abortion. I brought up the fact that, how could you go for somebody who is for the annihilation? I think there's 800,000, million, there's probably 8 million babies aborted every day or something along that, something crazy along those lines. I forgot how to go. I forgot the exact statistic, but there's millions of babies being killed every single year. And you're over here talking about Breonna Taylor. You're talking about George Floyd. Mind you, these two particular individuals, right, they weren't exactly innocent. George Floyd, he shouldn't have gotten killed the way he did. He shouldn't have. But nonetheless, you can't act like the way we treated George Floyd was correct. Like, oh, he's some sort of hero. He wasn't. He was no Martin Luther King. He was no Malcolm X either. This man, right, he had just beat up a pregnant woman, right? He stole something from a convenience store, right? This was a criminal, right? And unfortunately, he met his end, unjustly, I would say, that he shouldn't have died. But yet he met his end. That's when you do bad stuff in life, you tend to meet bad endings. That's how life goes a lot of times. Breonna Taylor, right? We're not going to talk about how the cops knocked on the door first and they got shot at and the cops responded and that's how she got killed. We're not going to talk about that. Her boyfriend was a drug dealer and she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe if she wasn't with a drug dealer boyfriend, she wouldn't have gotten killed. I'm just being real. This is how I stayed out of trouble most of my life. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the inner city Chicago. I grew up in the projects, right? I faced bad police officers. I had a gun pointed at my head when I was 12 years old. And I didn't do anything wrong, right? I faced that stuff. And yet I'm not talking about here defund the police. I'm not talking about all white people are bad. No, it was that one cop who did an injustice and he paid for it, thankfully, right? And my life was spared, thankfully, right? And these are issues that needs to be talked about, but let's not pretend as if these people who made poor choices were just completely innocent. They weren't. And you can't talk about injustice when you are supporting a party, when you're supporting a party that is for the annihilation. Let me make this very specific. When you're supporting a party who funds an organization that was created to kill Black people. You can't talk to me about any sort of social justice. You can't talk to me about police reform. You can't talk to me about anything. You can't even talk to me about women because you're killing women before they get out the womb. So this is really directed to, and very specifically, there's white churches involved in this, but I'm talking specifically to the Black church because the Black church has been a focal point within the community since we've gotten here, right? They've helped us get through slavery. They helped us get through civil rights. And I think all those things are great things. But we also, in the midst of all that, we took our eyes off the divine, off what God really put us on this earth for. It is great that we push positive social endeavors, but we are not supposed to plant the gospel for these things. The gospel comes first. Christ comes first. Heaven comes first. Then everything after that. We have forgotten what the church is meant to be. I was a minister at a church for 2 years, right? And I've seen this firsthand. I was part of this church, I think, for about 4 years. When I was leading the Bible study, people there, older Black women, Black men, I was leading a Sunday school class, and I asked them to give me the gospel. Do you know that none of them could give me the gospel? Not one. 40 years my senior, and they couldn't tell me what the gospel is. They have been in the church for God knows how long, and yet they can't tell you none of these things. And this isn't just that particular church. I went from church to church to church within the poor inner city community, and not one could tell me what the gospel is. The problem is our focus as a people. I'm not just talking about simply, as a Black people. No, I'm talking about as a Christian people. And this applies to all churches in America, that we taken our eyes off God and put it on politics. We taken our eyes off God onto a party. And this is something we're not supposed to do. I've heard so much fuss, so much fear mongering about Project 2025. I've heard fear mongering about on the other side of the fence as well. Talk about, if Kamala gets in, she's going to take away our rights and our guns and all that. Christians have never supposed to live in fear. We've had, since Christianity's inception, they've lived under bad Roman emperors. They lived in the Dark Ages. They lived in the Renaissance. They lived during, the times when France was going secular, and churches were being destroyed. Christians were being killed. They just lived in Soviet Russia, which was an atheistic state, and millions of Christians were killed in Soviet Russia. Same thing with Mao. Same thing with Hitler. Same thing in America. Ku Klux Klan, all about, and yet Christians stood strong in the face of all of that. And yet today, because we live as free as we are now, we are caught up in fear because those things may be taken away. If those things are taken away, what are you going to do? Defy Christ? You're just going to be like, I don't want to be a Christian anymore because my rights are taken. What kind of Christian are you if you're just living in fear? God says in the scripture that he has not given us a spirit of fear, but yet all I see is fear. Fear, fear, fear. It's all I see. If you don't do this, if you don't vote for this person who's for homosexuality, who's for abortion, who's for all these things, we're going to get Project 2025. Do you not fear God? Do you not understand who God is? You vote for a person like that, you are putting your vote and your support behind all those things, whether you agree with it or not. Because of your one vote, those things get into effect. Because your one vote, it helps push the narrative that Christians and the world are synonymous. We are supposed to be strangers to this land, right? We're supposed to not to be part of this world, but yet here we are, advancing sin as much as we can. Winston Churchill said it like this. He said, Americans would do the right thing after they've done all the wrong things first. And that is true, particularly about the American church. We are so content in our factions that we refuse to look at what Christ has actually commanded us to do. You know what? If Kamala gets in or Trump gets in, who cares? Because God is still king. Jesus is still king. The Holy Spirit is still king. And we're going to serve God no matter what we do, no matter what they try to do to us, no matter what kind of persecution comes our way, we're still going to serve God. And we're still going to proclaim the gospel. Well, at least I am. I don't know about y'all, but at least I am. And I'm just tired of the fear. I'm tired of all this nonsense talking about you got to do this. No. Let me read something real quick. I've read this before on other live streams. And for those who are just coming in, just know I've done a lot of talking about Trump. A ton of talking. You guys all know I'm not for him. The person I'm voting for is Terry and Broden from the Constitution Party. I don't care if they lose. I'm voting for my principles and values and according to what God wants me to vote. That's what's important to me. Let me read a couple things here. John Adams, who's the second president of the United States, he says, as we electors have an important constitutional power placed in our hands, we have a check upon two branches of legislature. The power, I mean, of electing a stated periods, each branch, it becomes necessary to every citizen then and to be in some degree a statesman and to examine and judge for himself of the tendency of political principles and measures. Let us examine then with a sober and manly and Christian spirit. Let us all neglect party loyalty and avert to facts. Let us believe no man to be infallible or impeccable in government, any more than in religion. Take no man's word against evidence and implicitly adopt the sentiments of others who may be deceived themselves or may be interested in deceiving us. The problem with us right now is that we say forget the Christian spirit. We say vote for lesser of two evils. Do you know even where that came from? The lesser of two evils is the 18th century idea from a guy named Spinoza. And he tells us, these are the two choices that we have, and you have to, that's the only thing you can do is vote to the lesser two evils. Christians in America, namely Spurgeon, he tells us this: of two evils, a Christian chooses neither. A Christian is not to choose a lesser of two evils, because choosing lesser two evils is still evil. It's still Satan. It's like Satan or Lucifer. Which one do you want? It's still the same guy. So, guys, look, I am personally tired of the election cycle. I am tired of hearing about these presidents. I am tired every time I turn on that TV, I see an ad. I'm tired of every last one of you who try to tell me that you should vote for either Kamala or Trump, because I'm not going to vote for either. Neither one of them deserve that vote. Neither one of them supports Christianity. And let me tell you about Kamala and just in particular. Why would I vote for a woman who hates men? Who hates me? A black man in particular. She hates black men so much that she took innocent men and left them in prison. Didn't try to get him. As a matter of fact, she fought against letting him out. Why would I vote for somebody like that who is against me? As a man, as a black man, as a Christian black man. Why would I vote for a woman like that? Why would any man vote for Kamala Harris? At the very least, I can understand Trumpers. I can understand them because they're talking about policies, right? I care about the vehicle of how that policy is being taken. However, I understand why they're doing what they're doing. But for a person who's voting Democrat, I don't understand it, because you are helping perpetuate homosexuality. I don't agree with homosexuality, but yet you're voting for it. You're helping perpetuate abortion. I don't agree with that, but yet you're voting for it. Daryl Miller, this guy here, he tells me that, they should have a choice. I can't stop them from choosing all that. Yes, you can. You vote for it. You vote against something that you disagree with, right? Let me tell you about abortion really quick, because this is important. First trimester, and I can't get in all too gritty details like some of these pro-lifers can, because they know that better than I do. But first trimester, they have like some sort of suction. They put it inside the woman, and they suck the baby out, and all you see on the other end is nothing but blood and guts. When that baby's look more developed later in the first trimester, early second trimester, they inject it with a poison. They inject the baby with a poison to stop the heart, just to cause cardiac arrest. And you're trying to tell me that you're for justice, that you're for life, and yet you are okay with stopping a baby's heart. You're okay with standing aside and letting a woman make that choice to murder that baby. You're okay with that. Second trimester, later second trimester, and sometimes late term abortions like third trimester. The baby, since it's too big, they start ripping pieces out from the baby. They take this little tool that's really long, they stick it inside the woman and start tearing pieces out. And they have to go back and check over again to make sure they got every piece out, because if there's a piece left in there, obviously it will harm the woman. How can you support a party that defends such a barbaric practice? Do you know how God feels about children? I don't want to hear anything from any sort of Christian Democrat who will vote for a woman who is for late term abortions into the ninth month. Tim Walz actually supported that himself. When you, as a Christian, think that is okay, well, no, I'm sorry, let me not say that. When you, as a Christian, think you have no voice into saying how women should treat her kids, do you call the cops when you see your neighbor get beat? Do you call the cops if you see someone get shot? Do you call the cops or the fire department if you see your neighbor's house on fire, or do you just say, oh, that's their business? No, you make the moral choice to call emergency services to help that person. Same thing with this. You know how bad abortion is. You know that babies are being tormented before they're actually killed and discarded as if they're nothing. And you're trying to tell me that a woman has a right? Who has the right to choose to kill somebody like that? To kill people in general, but just kill someone like that, though, in such brutal and inhumane ways. I can't even talk right now because it's infuriating. You who call yourself pastors, don't speak a mumbling word about this practice. I'm not talking, you don't got to vote for Trump. There's other ways to defeat abortion, even at a local level. If Christians got some backbone, right, and stood up and start teaching people, getting out there, preaching the gospel. Because let me tell you, a lot of y'all Christians out there, a lot of y'all pastors aren't supporting evangelists. You guys aren't supporting street preachers. You yourself barely do anything yourself besides going to your church, preach a sermon on Sunday, get prepared for the next Sunday. That is not the thing that God called us to do. And if this doesn't apply to you, obviously, don't take no offense to it. I'm talking about those people who just treat church like a job because they want to get tithes from the congregation. Yeah, I know what some of y'all be doing. Getting tithes from your congregation is fueling your lifestyle. God is going to judge you one day. It's coming. Every last one of you guys is going to pay your dues. And I pray to God that your salvation is legit. I pray to God it is, but you definitely need to check yourself. If you can acknowledge that a practice like that exists and you just don't do anything about it. Absolutely stupid. And you got people in your congregation having abortions and you won't even say nothing about it, but you're clear. You don't mind talking about homosexuality, even though you vote for a party that supports it, which is insane to me. I don't get it. This is back when I was a teenager. This is the issue I had with the religion, not with Jesus, not with the Bible, not with anything like that. This is the problem I had with the religion, with the church. Because what I saw, and this is before God corrected me, what I saw was a bunch of hypocritical losers, right? A bunch of people who claim they love God but do everything the opposite of that. Absolutely insane to me. We need to wake up as a Christian body. The Democratic Christians, I'm talking to you in particular. I'm not talking about Trumpers right now. Democratic Christians, if you truly believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ, if you believe in what God says about how the family should go, how life should go, how we should stand for righteousness, do not vote for Kamala Harris. I would rather for you not to vote at all than to vote for Kamala Harris. I'd rather for you to, I'll be honest with you, I would at least understand why you vote for Trump. But do not, absolutely, I can make a video on why you shouldn't vote for Trump, because I'm very adamant on that on my Facebook page and our chats and all that sort of stuff. I can make a very good case. But Democrats are very easy to deal with. People ask me, like, how come I don't spend time talking about Democrats too often? Because that should be the most obvious thing in the world why you shouldn't go for that. But we got 61% of Christians in America right now. And it's just kind of weird to me. None of them that we can't get a consensus on, the Democratic Party. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say because it just really made me mad to hear from a quote unquote pastor tell me that he can't tell or he can't make no vote on abortion being illegal or whatnot. That he can't stand for righteousness in that regard, but yet he wants to make a big deal over Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid. But anyway, guys, look, I didn't want to make this that long. We are going to have an election watch party tomorrow. I think Josh is going to join me. Let's see whoever else want to join in. Hey, I'll put the link in there. You guys can join in. We can talk about whatever. I ain't finna go off on you guys. I don't care what you vote. I really don't care. But what I'm telling you is like, look, that's gonna be between you and God. You have to answer to God why you voted for a person who is for the genocide of babies. You'll have to answer that. I don't know what you're gonna tell God. You have to answer to God about how can you support a woman who is for the perversion of marriage. You'll have to answer to God and tell him why you're for critical race theory, which demonizes white people, right? Which is completely and utterly stupid. Why would you demonize a whole group of people for actions of a few? And those people are dead. On top of that, why are we still living in the past? And feminism. Why would you defend a party? Why would you vote for a party that is for feminizing men? If you notice, have you noticed a lot of black men and white men in particular are being effeminate? That they're pushing for, I'm talking about black and white men in particular, are being focused and hammered on that you should be feminine, that you should wear dresses, that you should wear purses, and all this other madness. Why would you go for a party like that? It don't make no sense. It makes no sense at all. Absolutely stupid. And then, again, these are my thoughts. This isn't the thought of every Knights of God person who is in this group, but these are my thoughts. Some people may say amen. Other people may be like, nah, Desmond, you tripping. But these are my thoughts. But yeah, I've been on Saturdays, and I'm sorry, guys, I've been changing the schedule a little bit. On Saturdays, I've been volunteering and just observing Coalition for Life. I've been going over to Fairview Heights to stand outside a Planned Parenthood location and try to help people as much as I can, and at the very least support the coalition workers out there. And they also got church members who go out that way as well, and they just stand for life. They got paperwork and flyers and banners and all sorts of stuff. I stand out there with them for a couple hours, and after that, I also been talking to Mormons again, try to evangelize to them. So yeah, I just been pretty busy with that. I see Cecil about talk. Let me go ahead and see what he said. He said the feminization of black men is counterproductive to the uplifting of the black community. That's exactly right. And that's one of the biggest things. That is exactly one of the biggest things. If you're going and if you're voting for the Democratic Party, this is what you're for. You're voting for feminizing black and white men. That's what you're doing. The party who is for annihilating black babies, in particular, to destroy the family unit of black homes, because instead of a black man being there, the black man is being replaced with the government. So the black man is gone, babies are being killed, and black women are being elevated over men. You guys, how can you not see that as a problem? How do you plan to heal those issues when you're being a hypocrite? Like it just makes me mad. It really makes me mad. Democrats make me mad because I see them, and I'm not talking about just every Democrat. I got friends who are Democrats. I'm not talking about the voters. I'm talking about the party in particular. GOP makes me very mad, but for a different reason. The Democrats make me mad because I see them no better than Nazis because what they are for. The project of eugenics came from Nazi Germany. I want to make this point too, though, because some people are like, well, my vote doesn't go to abortion and all that. Let me ask you a question. Back after World War I, Germany had lost the war. When Germany lost the war, they were in a very bad economic state. Their military was failing, right? Everything, the whole country was downtrodden. So they were looking to a way to uplift themselves. The way they found a way to uplift themselves was through Adolf Hitler. You know who mostly supported Adolf Hitler? German Christians. Not because they were racist, not because they hated people, but because they wanted a new way forward for Germany. They were tired of where Germany was at. They wanted a way of salvation for their country, and they saw it in Adolf Hitler instead of Jesus. And look what happened after that. Millions of people got killed. I see the same thing with Christians voting for Democrat year in and year out because you are for indirectly, but yet directly supporting it with your vote for abortion, homosexuality, racism, and all these other things along with it. Well, feminism. I am tired of that. And we as a church need to get better. We just do. That's all I got to say, guys. This wasn't supposed to be that long. I've been going on 30 minutes. I just got off work. I was working at home today, so let me just get off this really quick. And yeah, guys, think about it. Really, really think about it. Because if you are a Christian, there are other options out there. You don't want to vote for Trump, vote for Terry of the Constitution Party. I'm giving you an option. Vote for the American Solidarity Party. That's another option. Yes, they won't win. But you know what? This is something I need to talk about as well. Third parties will have more power when we have more people behind those third parties. So if we wanted to get a truly Christian man into office, then Christians, all 61% of our population needs to get behind that Christian man and uplift him into office. That's what we should do. We can do that. We can uplift a third party to rival the Republicans and the Democrats if we fund them. Take that money that we give to them every single year and give it to a third party. We can make a change. We can make a difference in this country if we want to. If we want to. We don't have to keep running the hamster wheel and continue to vote for Democrat, Republican. We don't have to keep doing that. We can do something different. Think outside the box and stop letting people tell you what to do. Stop letting these billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar political corporations tell you how to vote. Have your own mind. Think critically. Allow Christ to inundate you with his wisdom and love and grace, and he will tell you what to do. And if you don't have the option to vote outside of those frames, then don't vote. You don't have to vote. There's no reason why you have to vote. You don't have to do these things. You don't have to continue homosexuality, racism, all these things. You don't have to continue that. Do something at a very local level. Give the gospel to your community. I'm pretty sure most of you guys out there are staying at home anyway and never give the gospel in your life. And if you are doing it, great. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about those who stare at their butts, go ahead and submit their votes and think that's supposed to do something. Who go to church on Sunday, maybe go Bible study on Wednesday, and that's it. That's not Christianity. It just isn't. It just isn't. Got one more comment. There's Andrea. I felt like it could have been Mike Pence. Maybe I'm missing something about him, but that I don't know. Why didn't Christians vote for him? I mentioned that before in our last discussion. I know a little bit about Mike Pence, and I do like Mike Pence a lot more than Trump, obviously. I don't know why. I mean, it's the same thing with Ron DeSantis. Why didn't Christians go for him? And a lot of times when it comes, because today I'm speaking specifically about Democratic Christians, particularly the Democratic Christians have bought into the Democratic lie that everyone on the right is racist, that people like me are Uncle Toms, et cetera, et cetera. That's what the Democratic Christians are taught to believe. And so we have these divisions within our Christian church due to political lines, which is absolutely stupid. We need to stop being so loyal to these parties and vote according to our conscience, according to what Christ would want us to vote for, right? If you don't feel, like I told people before, like I'm going to say this again, because I said this earlier before, for everyone out there, Desmond, Who should I go for then? Go for your conscience, right? Vote for someone who is not for disrespecting God, disrespecting his word, who is for the killing of the unborn, for homosexuality, for feminizing black and white men, who's for uplifting women over men in order to take over, society, et cetera, et cetera. So you can stand against that by not voting for it. What you could do, vote for third party. Because I'm not voting for Trump. You ain't got to vote for Trump. Vote for somebody else. It's not about who wins and who loses. It's about voting your principles. Let me give you another one really quick. Another quote. This is from Charles Finney. It says, "The time has come that Christians must vote for honest men and take consistent ground in politics, or the Lord will curse them. Christians have been exceedingly guilty in this matter, but the time has come they must act differently. Christians seem to act as if they thought God did not see what they do in politics." I like that. I like that. Christians seem to act as if they thought God did not see what they do in politics. But I tell you, he does see it. And he will bless or curse this nation according to the course that they, Christians, take in politics. God is watching. And our choices do matter to him. Every aspect of our lives should be surrendered to Christ, including our politics. God didn't say, "Oh, your politics, you can keep that over there. I'll just keep all this other stuff over here." No, Christ wants every part of you, including your politics. And so think about that. This is about what Desmond's telling you to do. This is literally how our country is founded, on Christian principles, on those very comments that the founding fathers have laid out. No, we aren't a Christian nation, but yet we were founded on Christian principles. And you, as a Christian, you have a duty before God and to this country and before your whole family to vote according to what God dictates, not what this world dictates.